Good evening, everyone. This is Miguel here with Quarantine Bedtime Storytime, Volume 2. Thank you for everyone who joined me last week. That was right before my birthday. I'm very happy I could share with you guys. Again, I'm hoping everyone good health, hoping everyone is raring and ready to get out there and make this world as good a place as you've been making up your home, spending all day in this quarantine. We'll see what happens. But until then, I want to invite everyone to join me for story time. I've got a couple selections here, trying to go with what I have in my library. So first, I'm going to share with you the Communist Manifesto. Just a little bit from it. Might be relevant. This is an amazing book, 15 Poets of the Aztec World. It's a small selection of Aztec poetry. I highly recommend y'all look up Aztec poetry in general. Look it up, Nahuatl poetry. There's a couple stories in here, including one poem that my friend Leia, singer from Calafia Armada, chose, and I think you'll see why. Then we're going to move on. Perhaps a little bit lighter, something from the Hoopa project. This is a book that goes into some sightings of Bigfoot, so this is going to be really fun to listen to from a sort of forensic perspective. Of course, I want to read a little bit of Borges, one of my favorite authors. In this book, he collected a bunch of different imaginary animals. Some are just regular animals that people imagine strange things about. But you know, I like Borges, I like animals. Here we go. And I always like to end with a local story from the land here. So we'll see if I can pull a story from Sierra Nevada before history. There's a story in here from the Owens Valley Paiute that I want to share. So anyways, let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining me. This is volume 2 here, reading so that you can relax this evening and tomorrow go out and get it. So let's read a little bit from the Communist Manifesto. If you haven't read any, you probably heard of the author Karl Marx, Friederich Engels. The Communist Manifesto. A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. All of the powers of old Europe have entered into a holy alliance to hunt down and exorcise this specter. Pope and Tsar, Metternich and Guizot, French radicals and German police spies. Where is the party in opposition that has not been denounced as communistic by its opponents in power? Where the opposition that has not hurled back the branding reproach of communism against the more advanced opposition parties, as well as against its reactionary adversaries? Two things result from this fact. 1. Communism is already acknowledged by all European powers to be itself a power. 2. It is high time that communists should openly, in the face of the whole world, publish their views, their aims, their tendencies, and meet this nursery tale of the specter of communism with a manifesto of the party itself. To this end, communists of various nationalities have assembled in London and sketched the following manifesto, to be published in English, French, German, Italian, Flemish, and Danish languages. So this was written over 150 years ago. People still then were demonizing people who would want social good for social people. So very interesting that we're coming back around. History shouldn't be cyclical, but we're not learning our lessons. Anyways, I'm going to continue here. I think we're going to move on to the Aztec world, 15 poets of the Aztec world. You know I love indigenous writing from the Americas. There's really a lot of great authors that were doing work in the Americas before the Europeans arrived. I'm happy that those stories are available to us. It's quite a privilege. So this poem is from Temilotzin of Tlatelolco. Pardon my pronunciation. This is the poem of Temilotzin. I have come, O my friends, with necklaces I entwine, With plumage of the Tsinitzikan bird I bind. With feathers of the macaw I gird. I paint with colors of gold. With trembling Quetzal feathers I enfold the totality of my friends. With songs I encircle the community. I will bring it into the palace. There will we all be. Until we have gone to the region of the dead. Thus we have been loaned to one another. I'm going to read that again. I will bring it into the palace. There will we all be, until we have gone to the region of the dead. Thus we have been loaned to one another. What a line. Now I have come. I am standing. I will compose songs. Make the songs burst forth for you, my friends. I am sent from God. I have flowers. I am Temilotzin. I have come to make friends here. So welcome, friends. Hey, Sally. Let's read another author here. This book has a lot. It mostly explains the style of poetry and the complexities within the poetry. So I'm trying to just read some of the poems. It also provides the original, if you'll look closely, which is fascinating. This is from Tecayehuatzin of Huexotzinco. This poem is called Now Let Us Sing. Now let us sing. Let us continue our songs in the midst of the flowery light and warmth. Oh, my friends! Who are they? I go out to meet them. Where shall I look for them? Here, indeed, in the place of the drums. I only invent flowery songs. I, your friend, I am only Chichimek Lord. Tecayehuatzin. Perhaps someone of us, or probably all of us, will give joy, will make happy the inventor of himself. In Tlaxcala, in good season, may my flowery dream stirring songs be there. May the songs that intoxicate, those of Chicotencato, of Temilotzin, who we just read, of the Prince Cuauhchinanco be there. The Tamoanchan of the eagles, the house of night of the tigers, are in Huexotzinco. There is the place of death, of Tlacahuepan, who obtained merit within it. There they rejoice, the flowers which are the prince's community, the lords, in their houses of springtime. With flowers of the cacao tree he calls out and arrives quickly. There with the flowers he is joyful. In the midst of the waters, he arrives quickly with his shield of gold. So with fans, with staffs of red flowers, with banners of Quetzal feathers, let us come to give joy in the interior of the houses of springtime. The kettle drum, color of jade, resound. A shower of flowery dew has fallen over the earth. In the house of yellow feathers it pours down with force. His sun has come down. He descends there in springtime, the giver of life. His song makes flourish. The place of drums is adorned with flowers. It is interwoven. Now they come forth from there, the flowers that intoxicate. Oh, rejoice. Woo! All right. I hope you can find some Aztec poems online. I hope everyone takes an opportunity to check these out. I'm sure you have a moment at home to actually read some literature. Netflix and Hulu are getting bored. There's no new episodes of Tiger King, y'all. But we do have some other entertainment. Me reading about Bigfoot. Anyone who knows me knows that I like to talk about Bigfoot. I'm not going to say whether I believe or not, but if you ever want to talk about Bigfoot, I'm your guy. So this book was written, put together by Dave Paulides in order to investigate the sightings of Bigfoot near the Hoopa Reservation in Northern California. This is in the Douglas fir and the redwood forest there in Northern California. So I'll just read the chapter. Chapter 5, Sightings Involving Bigfoot. This is from Josephine Peters, retired herbal specialist, Hoopa. Ed Maston told me he had an aunt, Josephine Peters, he wanted me to meet, who was a witness to multiple Bigfoot encounters. He said that she lives adjacent to Supply Creek and next to the Youth Recreation Center. You know what? We're going to leave Josephine Peters. We're going to step over here to Mary and Inker McCovey, because she's who I really want to talk about. I had a good birthday. I'm just enjoying water now. Mary and Inker McCovey. These are her sightings. When I initially met the tribal police of Hoopa, they referred me to Inker. The officer stated that Ink is a believer in Bigfoot and had seen the creature in the past. They told me I could contact him at the recreation center and advised me that he was a central figure in the community and a credible person. I drove to the recreation complex near the center of Hoopa. It's a modern, beautiful facility that includes a pool, play yard, daycare facility, indoor basketball court, and workout equipment. I found Inker playing hoops with kids inside the facility. He is a tall, large man, dark complexion, ponytail, and obviously from a Native American background. He greeted me with a big smile and offered his assistance. It was obvious to anyone within 100 miles I was not from tribal area. Too white, too many questions, and lost. I explained to Inker I was in Hoopa investigating Bigfoot and asked if I could talk to him. He told the kids that the facility was closing soon and he'd be in his office talking to a guest. We sat in a modern office with an internet link overlooking the basketball court. Inker immediately started the conversation by stating his history with Bigfoot began in his childhood. He said his family owned 165 acres at the foot of a nearby mountain and that his entire family resides on land parcels in the area. He said that when he was 8 years old, in 1964, he went to the bathroom at his house and was sitting on the toilet. He said it was a warm summer evening and the bathroom window was open, as it normally was. The window was approximately 6 feet up off the ground, so people could not look inside. He stated that he was sitting on the toilet when he saw a huge, hairy arm come through the window and reach towards where he was sitting. Inker stated that the arm was much larger than a man's in girth and length, and much more hairy than any human arm. The arm appeared to be reaching towards him, and he started to scream. His father came running into the bathroom, and the creature pulled its arm away. Inker's dad grabbed his rifle and a flashlight and ran out the front door searching for the creature, but could not find it. He said that he can distinctly remember that the creature had gray-black hair on its forearm, and the hair was almost 4 inches long. After explaining the bathroom story to me, Inker paused a few seconds and said that all local tribe members believe that Bigfoot is here to take care of the forests. They are not here to do any harm or destruction. He said that they should be respectful and left alone and in peace. And it should be noted the Owens Valley Paiute actually said a similar thing about Bigfoot, that he was a forest protector. In November 2003, Inker said that he and his girlfriend at the time, Mary McClelland, were driving from his residence to the local casino at approximately midnight. They were taking their normal route down Mill Creek Road and turning left onto Highway 96. He stated that he was driving and his girlfriend was in the right front seat. As they made the turn, they immediately saw a Bigfoot on the Trinity River side of the road. It was at least 7 feet tall, standing on 2 legs and looking in their direction. He stated that the high beams of the car illuminated the animal, and they could see its orange-red eyes. Once the headlights hit the animal, it turned and took 2 huge strides across the highway towards Big Hill Mountain, and then leaped over a 10-foot-tall cyclone fence and disappeared. Inker knew that he and Mary had just seen Bigfoot. He said that the creature had hair all over its body, walked on two legs, and obviously did not enjoy the light coming from his headlights. The creature had a huge body with a massive build. Inker stated that many members of the tribe and his family had seen Bigfoot. He said that the property that his family owns is ideally situated at the bottom of Big Hill Mountain and a small drainage basin of Mill Creek. He explained that approximately 6 years before, there was a huge fire behind Big Hill that caused significant forest destruction, the Megram Fire. Inker said that since that fire, the creature has made its presence known on a more regular schedule, and it appears that its habitat has moved closer. McCuffey stated that 2 years passed in November 2004. His mother had a bad stroke. He was depressed and decided to hike into Big Mountain with the primary intent on collecting tan oak mushrooms, keeping his senses alert for any evidence of the creature, of course. He said that he drove as far as possible up into Mill Creek Basin and then walked a small ridgeline. He had collected 2 large baskets of mushrooms and had not seen anything unusual. He was walking on a small ridgeline near an adjacent small mountain when he felt something was staring at him. Inker said that he felt very uneasy and decided to sit down, look, and listen, something tribal elders had taught him to do when in the woods. He stated that he first looked at the opposite mountainside approximately 100 yards away. He thought he saw a small black tree stump move. Inker said that he didn't have binoculars, but he did have his rifle and scope. He looked at the object through his scope and saw a large fir tree behind the object also move. He cleared his eyes and refocused on the objects. He saw the small stump-like object continue to move, and could now see that it was a small adolescent Bigfoot with a large adult Bigfoot directly behind it, leaning against a tree. As he was looking at the creatures, the adult swung its legs in a semicircle motion and concealed itself almost entirely behind a large fir tree. He said that the wind was blowing from the creature towards him, and he could distinctly smell a foul odor, a stink. The odor smelled like strong ammonia, or a very strong pissy smell. Inker said that he continued to watch the creatures for a few minutes, and felt as though the adult was telling the juvenile to continue to stay in a ball and not move or get hurt. At least that was Inker's sense of the situation. A thought to remember at this point was that McCovey was looking at the creatures through a rifle scope mounted on his rifle. It would be easy to understand the perception of the creature believing that a shot might be taken at them in a mistaken belief that they were game. After several minutes of watching the creatures, he started to feel uncomfortable. He said he dumped out the contents of one of his buckets and put his accumulated mushrooms in a large pile where the creature could see them. He then left the area and did not come back. Inker said that many people in the community feel that Bigfoot feed on the mushrooms on the hillside, and that this is one of the reasons they have stayed close over the years. He said this is also why many people have seen Bigfoot digging in lawns and grounds, looking for mushrooms. Inker said he wanted to apologize in some way to the creature for disturbing them, thus he left the mushrooms as a goodwill gesture. I explained to Inker that I would like to enter an area of Bigfoot habitat that is rarely explored, yet is frequented regularly by the Bigfoot creature. Inker had a broad smile, hesitated slightly, and then said, "I know the exact spot." He told me that on the backside of Big Mountain there is a ridgeline that travels all the way to the back of Bluff Creek Resort. This entire ridge parallels Highway 96 to Huexotzinco. He told me that he knew I was aware of the sightings along Highway 96 from Hoopa to Huexotzinco, of Bigfoot coming off the hillside and down towards the Trinity River. Many people have made observations of the creature crossing Highway 96 in this area. Inker said that a few years ago he was hunting with a friend at the Shelton Butte area and had seen signs of Bigfoot activity. He said that the nature trails had trees and limbs broken high up off the ground. and there appeared to be a Bigfoot den that he had found. He explained that the area of Shelton Butte is a portion of the reservation that elders of the tribe have told others to stay away from. It is known as Bigfoot's area. Inker said the area included some sort of mountainside that is behind Bluff Creek Resort, generally on the south side of the Klamath River. He said the area is very steep, desolate, and the perfect area for Bigfoot to travel to the Klamath River, the Phil's Bluff Creek Resort area, and the Trinity River areas just outside of Hoopa. An interesting note, I had interviewed Inker after I met Phil Smith at his Bluff Creek Resort. Phil had told me of seeing Bigfoot up the mountainside behind his resort. Phil's sighting matches the area that is described by Inker. Inker and Phil have never spoken and don't know each other. Inker finds it a little unusual that Bigfoot spends a lot of time near the Trinity and Klamath rivers. Now this is interesting. He said that there is an old Indian legend that there is a serpent that lives in those rivers called Kamos. He stated that Kamos is a snake-like creature that has a head the size of a horse and presumably eats fish. Inker said that there is another Indian legend that tells kids not to go into the river until you can see its bottom, because elders do not want Kamos to eat you. He said that there is a lot of people in the community who have seen Kamos and know it is a real creature. He said that the serpent makes a high-pitched motor sound at night, which can be heard over long distances. Inker said that one of the people who had seen Kamos is Officer Chance Carpenter, who saw the creature near Big Rock. He told me that it is a little unusual that Bigfoot and Kamos live in the same area and are so elusive. McCovey stated that he would gladly take me to his house and introduce his family to me. He said there are many members of the extended family who have witnessed Bigfoot in their neighborhood. We left the recreation center and drove to Inker's house. Well, that sure gives us a lot to think about. I think we'll read one more story from one of the family members that he mentioned. If you're out there watching this, give me a hello, give me a heads up. It's nice to be connecting to everyone digitally. Of course, I love to read stories to people in real life, by the campfire when we're camping, in the car when the radio's boring, or just when I find something interesting. So it's a thrill for me to share this with everybody, and I'm hoping that this is slowly lulling you to sleep. This is sighting by Romeo McCovey. Romeo was invited into the living room and introduced to me by Inker, who started the conversation by telling me that Romeo was his son and was 17 years old. Romeo told me he had heard Bigfoot stories his entire life from a variety of family elders, friends, teachers, and even his dad, and didn't believe any of them. He said that he really never thought much of it, and it was funny when people around him talked about it. Romeo now told me his personal story. It was November 2005. He was driving down Highway 96 and turning onto Mill Creek Road. He stated that he was alone and it was early in the evening. It was cold outside, but no snow on the ground. He stated that he had just turned onto Mill Creek Road when he saw something hunched over the creek side of the street. He stated that he slowed to 20 miles per hour and his car headlights were on the object. As the light illuminated the creature, it stood up on two legs, was approximately 7 feet tall with very wide shoulders and a human-type face, and hair covering its entire body. He said that he knew he was looking at Bigfoot. Romeo raced home and immediately found his dad. Inker said that when Romeo came in the door, he was very shaken. He said it was rare to have Romeo that disturbed about anything. He just isn't that type of kid. Inker stated that for hours afterwards, Romeo was still so disturbed by the incident that he slept on the couch at the foot of Inker's bed, something he hadn't done since he was an infant. Inker plainly stated, the kid saw Bigfoot. All right, we'll leave the Bigfoot sightings right now, but There's always interesting stories in California. It's fun to listen to them, whether or not you believe that Bigfoot is real, but who knows if he's out there. Let's see. I think we're going to go back and read a few more Aztec poems. I'm going to find a few in here. Let's see what we got. Let's see. I think this one will do. This is called Song of Tltaltecatzin, Cuauhchinanco. Again, pardon my Nahuatl pronunciation. I'm going to try my best. No disrespect intended. I have a lot of respect for these authors. This is Tltaltecatzin. I come to guard the mountain. Somewhere is its story. With flowers is painted the giver of life, the community. You have been left in your home, you, Tlaltecatzin. You suspire there, you speak. I alone, I sing to him who is my God, in our place where the Lord's command. The flowering chocolate drink is foaming, the one which intoxicates men with its flowers. I yearn, my heart has tasted it, my heart has been inebriated, my heart knows it. O red songbird of the supple neck, fresh and burning, you show your garland of flowers, you, mother. Sweet woman, precious flower of toasted maize, you only lend yourself, you will be abandoned, you will have to go away, there will be a defleshing. Here you have come, before the Lord's, you marvelous beings, in an erect pose. Upon the mat of yellow and blue feathers, there you stand proudly. But precious flower of toasted maize, you only lend yourself, soon you must be abandoned. You will have to go away. There will be a defleshing. The flowering chocolate drink is foaming. The flower of tobacco is passed around. If my heart would taste them, my life would become inebriated. But here, on the earth, you, O lords, O princes, if my heart would taste them, my life would become inebriated. I only suffer and say, may I not go to the place of the fleshless. My heart is a precious reality. I am only a singer, but golden flowers I carry. I have to abandon them. I only look at my house. The flowers remain there. Perhaps big jades, broad plumages are my price. Alone I must go. Some time it will be. Alone I must go. I will perish. I abandon myself. Oh my God, giver of life, I say, let me go. My body will be a funerary bundle. I, a singer, let thus it be. Is there anyone who will become the owner of my heart? Alone I must go, my heart covered with flowers. Quetzal feathers, precious jades, so perfectly polished, will be destroyed. Nowhere on earth is their model, thus let it be, but let it be without violence. Very interesting. I think we'll read one more of the Aztec poems because the writing is just so incredible. Many of them talk about the subject of death. And I don't want to get too dark, but we understand that there's always ups and downs, so I'm happy that you're here with me. This is by Cacamatzin. This poem is called My Friends. My friends, listen to this. Let no one live deluded with the pretension of royalty. The fury, the clashes, let them be forgotten, disappear in due time from the earth. Also to me alone, a short time ago, they said, those who were at the ball court, they said, they murmured, is it possible to work mercifully? Is it possible to act prudently? I know only myself. Everyone says this, but no one speaks truly on earth. The mist spreads, the conch shells resound, over me and over all the earth. Flowers rain down, they interweave, they whirl about, they come to bring joy upon the earth. It is truly, perhaps as in his house, our Father acts, perhaps like Quetzal plumage in springtime, with flowers he paints. Here on earth, the giver of life. In the place where the precious drums play, where are heard the beautiful flutes of the precious God, Lord of the heavens, necklace of red feathers, tremble over the earth. A mist wraps round the song of shields. Over the earth falls a rain of darts. They darken the color of all the flowers. There is noise of thunder in the heavens. With shields of gold, there they dance. I only say, I, Cacamatzin, now alone I remember. Lord Nezahualpili, perhaps they speak there, he and Nezahualcoyotl, in the place of the drums. I remember them now. Truly, who will not have to go there? If he is jade, if he is gold, perhaps he will not have to go there? Am I perchance a shield of turquoise? Will I as a mosaic be embedded once more in existence? Will I come again to the earth? Will I be shrouded in fine mantles? Still on earth, near the place of the drums, I remember them. All right. I think it's time that we read a little bit Owens Valley Paiute legends. Those Aztec poems are heavy. If you're not seeing this live, if you're watching this video, please go ahead and share it around. You can listen to this in your earbuds as you're going about your work. Mostly, I want to keep y'all entertained and put some good information in your ears. You know, I like to mix a little bit of fiction, a little bit of legend, and a little bit of nonfiction. So anyways, I want to read this story called The Creation of the Land. Long, long ago, many beings lived on the peak of Awani when this country was underwater. For a period of time, these beings pleaded with nature for land and dived in the depths of the water to find soil. All kinds of waterfowl attempted to reach the bottom, except one who is known as the Hell Diver, who took no interest in what was going on. The coyote, who was distrusted and hated by most everyone, would plunge into the water and bring up a grain or two of sand and offer it as proof that he had dived to the bottom. But there was no doubt that he had placed it under his fingernails before making the plunge. After every other being had tried, they called on the Hell Diver. He told them it was impossible to reach the bottom, but he would try. So he plunged into the deep blue water and stayed under longer than anyone else who had tried. When he came up, he assured them it was no use to try, but others pleaded with him, so he dived again. This time he stayed longer, but when at last he popped up, he refused to dive anymore, stating that there was a danger of drowning. After several days of coaxing by his friends and others, the Hell Diver promised to make one last dive at dawn the following day. When light began to break in the east, the beings gathered to witness the dive. As the morning star peeped over the horizon, the Hell Diver stood facing in that direction, over the silvery water, pleading with nature for strength and endurance. When the morning star ascended high in the sky, the Hell Diver plunged easterly, straight into the water, and did not return. It was near noon when the anxious crowd concluded that the Hell Diver had drowned. The coyote cried and sang funeral songs, and the beings carried on a regular funeral ceremony. Suddenly the Hell Diver came up to the top and made his way to the shore. He offered a handful of fertile soil and distributed it over the great waters, a little at a time, as if sowing grain. Soon the water began to lower. Islands and valleys popped up as water pooled into lakes, rivers, and creeks. The mountains and the whole country seemed to turn green overnight as vegetation grew. And that's at least how Owens Valley began. I'm going to set this book aside. This has a couple stories in it and also great information about the different tribes that lived in the Sierras before and also what's going on now. As always, I want to end with some legends of the Yosemite Miwok. We're reaching the end of quarantine bedtime story time, so I want to, again, thank everyone for joining me. Give me a comment, give me some encouragement. I'd love to keep these going and keep an interesting selection. I've been looking for some new books and some things that I can share with you guys without having to read off of the computer. So this story here is called Temilotzin the Thunder. This is a book that is published, I think, in part by Yosemite National Park, and it's used to bring awareness to indigenous culture in the park. Great for children and adults here. So when Uwulin the giant was traveling over the country eating people, there were two little boys, brothers, who were out hunting when the giant visited their village and so escaped. When they came home, they found that their father and mother and all other people had been killed and eaten. The younger boy asked the other, "What shall we do? Shall we live here, just the two of us? Maybe you are clever enough to turn into some other kind of thing and never die." The elder brother did not know. He was stupid. The younger brother was the bright one. For about a month, they hunted birds and ate them. One day, they made a little hut by a spring where the birds came to drink. Here, they killed a great many birds of different kinds. The younger brother said, "Let us save all the feathers of the birds we kill, wing feathers, tail feathers, and all." Soon they had enough for both. And the younger brother said, "We have enough. Let us be big birds and never grow old and die." "How are we to do it?" asked the older brother. The younger said, "You know how the big birds spread their wings and go without bothering to eat or drink?" They took the big wing feathers that they had saved and tucked them in a row along their arms and soon had wings. Then they stuck other feathers all over their bodies and soon were covered like big birds. When the younger brother said, "You fly. Let me see you fly a little way," the elder brother tried but could not make his wings go. "Try again and I will help," said the younger, and he pushed his brother along. But though he tried again, he could not fly and dropped down. Then they took more feathers and set them closer so that they would not leak air. When they had done this, the younger said, "Do you think you can go this time?" But the elder replied, "Let me see you try." "All right," the younger answered, and flew a little way. "Now you try," he called, and lifted his brother up and pushed him to help him start. But when the elder had flown a little way, he cried out that he could not go any further. "Go on, I am coming," called the younger. He soon caught up and came under his brother and sailed around and went up into the air and came down. Then the younger said, "Now we can fly. What kind of animal shall we be?" The elder answered that he did not know. The younger said, "How about Wehu Ma, the water bird?" "All right," replied the other. So they flew again and up and down and around. After a while, the younger again asked his brother if he would like to be a water bird. The brother replied, "No, I don't want to live on the water." "Then how would you like to be Temilotzin, the thunder?" asked the younger. "We could come back sometime and make a big noise and frighten people. In summer, we could go up through the north hole in the sky and stay above it. In winter, we could come back here and make a big noise and rain to make the country green. Then maybe the people would come back and live again. We once had a father and mother and sister and uncle and grandfather and others. Maybe they would come back. We want to help them. We could make good rain to make things grow, like acorns, pine nuts, grass and all." Then maybe the people would come back and eat. We should never use food, never drink water, never grow old, and never be killed. All right, answered the elder, we shall live always. But how are we going to make rain? I will show you, replied the younger. And they started again and went up very slowly, way up into the sky, and went north and found the North Hole and went through it. When near the sky, but before they had gone through, the younger began to make a loud rumbling noise. It was thunder. The elder tried but failed. The younger told him to try again. He did so, and in a short time was able to make rolling thunder quite well. Then he went through the hole and up above the sky. When winter came, the younger said, come, let us go back. So they came down through the hole in the sky and traveled south and saw that people were already there. Then they shouted and made thunder and rain. Afterwards they returned home through the North Hole in the sky. And every winter, even to this day, they come back and thunder and make rain to grow things for the people. Beautiful. Well, I want to read one more. This is one that I'm hoping to end with every time. The story of Huexotzinco the skunk. And I like to end with this one because I think it is very relevant to any society where they're facing leaders abusing power. Let's see what we got here. Yes. So this story is attributed to the Yosemite Miwok, who were actually a conglomeration of different tribes. So this story may have been widespread. It's called The Greed of Huexotzinco the Skunk. It's one of my favorite stories. Huexotzinco the Skunk and his wife had a daughter who, when she grew up, married Owens the gray fox. Gray Fox was a good hunter, and he and Skunk, who was chief, often hunted together. Not far from Skunk's home were two high hills standing side by side. In the narrow gap between them ran the trail of Sokoi the elk. One day, Skunk told Gray Fox to hide in this narrow place while he went down to the plain to drive up the elk. So Gray Fox hid there, and Skunk went down near the elk and fired his terrible scent. The elk could not stand the smell and ran up the trail. Gray Fox waited until the leader and all the others had passed between the hills. And when the last one had gone by, he stepped behind them and fired his arrow with such force that it shot through the whole band of elk, killing them all. When Skunk arrived at the scene, he was so glad that he danced. He called all the people to come and help carry the meat home. Then he said to Gray Fox, "You must pack one elk and pack me too, for I am too tired to walk." He was not too tired to dance. Gray Fox was afraid of Skunk, so he did what he was told. He put a big elk on his shoulders, and then Skunk climbed on top. Skunk danced on the body of the elk all the way back to the village. Then Skunk told the people to skin the elk and promised them some of the meat. They skinned the elk and cut the meat into strips and hung it up to dry. But when they had done this, they asked him for their share. Skunk refused to give them any, but told them that they could eat acorn mush and peanut. He then turned as if he were going to shoot his scent, and everyone was afraid. Skunk was so greedy that he would not give any meat to anyone, not even his own wife and daughter, nor his son-in-law who killed it. He put it all the way to dry for himself. The next day he told Gray Fox, "Let's hunt again." And they did the same as before. When the elk were in the narrow pass between the hills, Gray Fox shot his arrow and killed them all as before. Then Skunk called the people to come and carry the elk home and made Gray Fox carry one. And he danced on top all the way back, just as before. Again he told the people, "Skin the elk," and he would give them some meat for supper. But when they had the elk skinned and cut up the meat, he told them to eat acorns and peanut, at the same time turning to frighten them. Skunk took all the meat for himself, just as he had done before. The people were very angry, but were afraid to do anything for fear that Skunk would shoot them with his scent and kill them. They talked the matter over for a long time, and finally a wise man said, "What are we going to do? Must we hunt for him and pack his meat and skin it for him always and not get any?
We'd better kill him. But how can we do it so that he will not shoot his scent and kill us? Then Tuik the badger spoke. He said, we can kill him. And while Skunk was watching his meat so that no one could take any of it, Badger dug a big hole and built a fire in it. Someone asked him why he had made a fire, and Badger replied, do you not know that Skunk is a great dancer and loves to dance? We will have a fire in the hole and cover the top over with sticks and leaves and earth so that he cannot see anything. Then we will send for him to come and dance, and when he dances, he will break through and fall in, and we shall kill him. The people answered, all right. When it was dark, they sent a messenger to Skunk. He said, you're a great dancer. We want you to dance tonight, and we'll pay you well if you come. Skunk was pleased and answered, all right, where shall I dance? They took him to the place, and pointing to it said, right here. Skunk began to dance and sing. Everyone said, good, you're doing well. Keep on, you're doing finely. Go on, you're surely a great dancer. And they flattered him, and he kept on and danced harder and harder, for he was proud and wanted to show what he could do. After a while, when Skunk was dancing hardest, the sticks broke and he fell into the hole. The people were ready. They had a very big rock which had taken many people to bring. They were waiting, and the moment Skunk fell in, they pushed the rock quickly over the hole and held it down. They all climbed up on it and held it down tight so Skunk could not get out. The hot coals burnt Skunk's feet and made him dance. He was very angry and shot his scent so hard against the side of the hole that a mountain pushed up on that side. Then he turned the other way and shot against the other side and pushed up a mountain on that side too. After this, his scent was gone and the coals burnt him and killed him. Then all the people were happy. Well, the next day the people had a great feast. They ate all the dried elk that they wanted. The greed of Hisik the skunk. So thank you everyone for joining me for this second episode of Quarantine Bedtime Storytime. If you're not falling asleep already, play this again from the top. Hopefully my voice will lull you to sleep, and if it hasn't, well, I'll work on that in the future. But please join me again soon. I would love to continue to read stories, share with you guys. Feel free to give me suggestions, give me any encouragement, and share this video around. It's safe for children, but I want to wish everyone, again, health, patience in these times, and on May 1st, there's going to be an action for workers in the Bay Area, also internationally, but in the Bay Area, so please look out for information about that. There's a lot of things changing in our society, and even though we're at home, we have a chance to participate and make the world a better place. So I will see you at the next Quarantine Bedtime Storytime.